Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is ArbieG and today we are back with the Mazda Beginners Series for ART with round 2. We've got the results up here from the first round of Mazdas, which was Red Bull Ring short. You can see leading out from the top, so we're 2 points ahead in the standings. We've got Sly, Hippie just behind us with a few points, and Fraser just behind them, followed by Dawes, Mo and Barney. So quite a tighter packed top crew up there. We've got 2 races today. Started off with a qualifying session, which we're just bringing up now. So in the qualifying session, it was myself on pole again today. We are racing around Majore West, which is never a variation of the Majore GP track, which I've never done before. Got Sly just behind me, only a few tenths off, and then Barney behind him, all in the 37 range. During a lot of practice, it took me a while to grind down to 37. Actually did manage to break into the 36 barrier once after quite a lot of practice. So I've got that pace to be able to get into there, but I found it really challenging to get there. So I reckon race pace is going to be around 37, maybe low 38s. Be able to maintain that. So let's skip on to the race now. So as I said, we've got 2 races. First is based on the results of the qualifier, then the second one is a reverse grid of the first race. A reverse grid based on the results of the first race.
I'm rocking.
We're just starting up now. Rolling start again. This will be the last week of rolling starts going into next week. The series will be moving into grid starts, which maybe should see a little bit more chaos in the first lap or so. So you can see by the track map, if anyone's familiar with the Majore GP circuit, basically just sort of the back 2/3 really of Majore. You still got turn 1, turn 2 the same, then it kinks over to the right, then sort of cuts out the S-bend straight up to what is known as Big Banky Boy, one of my favourite turns in the game. We're away now, holding it in first place. Had a really bad first turn in first place last weekend, seemed to do a bit better with this race. As we're away, nice and neatly, Sly just under a second behind us. And I did find with this car in this track that really the most important turn on this whole track is turn 2, with the sort of with the track after it obviously having quite a lot of where you're just going flat out. The best you can do on turn 2, and the earlier you can get onto the throttle. I'm actually coming through Banky Boy now, but the earliest you can get on the throttle, sort of, it can shave a lot of time off your lap. So that was really where it was made. Here the car really struggled to get uphill, so I had to hold it in third for quite some time until I'm sort of on this flat, and then you can hear me shift up to 4th there. So had to let that over rev quite a bit. As we're coming around now to the last few turns of the track, got quite a good line through there. Probably not the best lap I've ever done in my life, but you can see already built up a nice gap between myself and Sly. So really just up to me now, the emphasis on me now to press home the advantage and see if I can grow that gap and make this race my own before giving anyone a chance. Run a little wide there, catching a bit of grass, fortunate not to slip out. Did have an impact on my time. You can see Sly grinding down a little bit now. Braking zone's the end of the fencing on the right there. Slipped down to second, trail brake through over the apex. A little bit narrower than coming a little bit narrower than I like to on that. I like to come in from around about the centre of the track. So again, with that principle on that turn 2, to get on that accelerator as early as possible, get as much power down and grab yourself that little bit extra speed going up through this whole entire section here. The track limits as well seem pretty flexible, especially in comparison to last week, where Red Bull Ring short there was penalties all over the place. This week the penalty didn't seem to be so tight. In fact, they seem to be quite liberal. I mean, you can see there a bit of a cut on the corner there at Banky Boy. Sly has ground down a bit of time. You can see there he's now ground down the time, which was around about 2 seconds before, now just a second. So certainly not secure this race. Got to keep concentration and perhaps trying to put my head down and see if I can hit those better lap times, you know, lower 37s, even into the 36s, to see if I can bridge away that gap between myself and Sly, and again just give myself an easy race, which would be helpful. Again, holding it in third just a little bit longer, just until we're in the downhill section. Give the car as much power as it can. Come off and just ride. So don't brake on that. I found that everyone else on track was braking on that turn. After a bit of advice from Dan, started taking that without putting any brake on whatsoever, just lifting and coasting through. It seemed to get us through on the whole, but occasionally it did run a little wide if I didn't come off to coast a little sooner. You can see Sly really pulling out that gap now, just over half a second. So he's certainly getting inside that range where he could look to make a move. Prime overtaking opportunities, and this track here coming up to Banky Boy here, and sort of the straight proceeding into turn 1. Run another purple sector there, although best time at the minute is, you know, myself with the 39.8, which certainly is quite slow, as again if you're comparing it to those qualifying times we were putting in. And you can see the cut that I can put into Banky Boy there really can cut that apex quite a lot. You can see again me holding it third here as much as it will go until I can get up this hill. That makes shifting up to 4th actually worthwhile doing, because I found when I was shifting to 4 earlier there, the car speed wasn't increasing, it was just sort of staying where it was. Wasn't getting any acceleration out of the car, so holding it in third is definitely shaving off a few tenths of the lap time in general. I've managed to grow that lead a little bit more now from Sly. Pushed it up again to around about 1 second, so found a little bit more pace on the track as we come around now to finish off the end of lap 3. And we've got low 38s now, so are find that pace, but still need to hit it a little bit more. See if we can find that consistency. I'm actually going to skip forward now, highlights video, and I've actually skipped us all the way to lap 12, so really far ahead. You can see position wise, still in first place, nothing's changed from there other than sort of growing that lead. I hit a lot of consistency, you can see there on the right, you know, we left me at the 3rd lap, or now in the 12th, and sort of since then I consistently hit those 37s, best being a 37.3, up until the last couple of laps really, where I kind of tailed off a little bit and not pushing so hard with the gap I've got. The gap I built, I want to say it was down to consistency, but I know that Fraser and Sly were having quite a bit of a fight for P2, which just afforded me that chance just to pull away and really make that first place mine, as we are actually now into the last lap of the race. So quite a short one for this first race. Again, it's another one of those where, you know, qualifying first and finish first with no real action happening. It's hard to produce a highlights video from that, but it's is what it is. And obviously we've got to bear in mind that finishing first means that we're going to be starting from the back coming round to the next race, which is always presents its own excitement. So normally when I do these videos, I normally have a really short race 1 and then like a really long race 2. We're coming now just round to the last few corners of the race, and outside of something really tragic happening, I think we've got this first place nailed down, with that gap now coming up to about 10 seconds between us and Fraser behind. So yeah, a nice little race, kind of nice to just get in some laps and stuff like that, but certainly not winning any awards for being the most exciting thing you've ever seen in your life. But we come now down to secure that first place. In what is overall satisfying race, finishing on a 37.9, so not much drop away really from the tyres, even by the end of the race. So no need to pit or anything on that race. It was just a straight run. So nice to get a win. We're good for the championship. And I thought I got the fastest lap, but it turned out Fraser, who was just behind me on that last lap, actually managed to grab it at the very end. So well done to him there. He got the fastest lap on that one, so that's a point we could have earned. So in this championship, you do get an extra point each race for the fastest lap, so it does have a bit of value if you can get that purple a lap and get that star at the end of the race. But we're going into race 2 now. You can see now we're starting all the way back at 11th place, so especially with the rolling start, makes this a lot trickier. In general, got a lot more room to try and build back from those guys at the front. And again, the few in front of you as well, don't want to spend too much time, you know, Fraser and Sly getting too tangled up in a fight with them, because the more that happens, the less chance we're going to have to go through the pack. So, got to think, going through this race and pick my fights really. Not what I really want to be doing is not really trying to scrap too much with Fraser and Sly until all three of us have kind of worked ourselves up into better places really, because it's very easy to start fighting and the next thing you know, the guys in front of you are pulled away and you're in a pack at the back, and even if you do get out in front, you've got a lot of room to grind back, and it can take half a race to grind back a decent gap on you. So just behind Fraser now, I've got him a little bit of pace on him here. Looks like I'm slipping up on the inside actually, contrary to everything I just said, where perhaps the right thing would have been just to sit behind him and coast it a little bit. Taking the inside line, probably a little bit too nowhere near aggressive there, going through that line. Could have easily come through and just didn't get any great exit speed, so that's going to afford Fraser to go back up, and we still sit back in last place, so we're going to slip up again behind Fraser and just use the slipstream to pull us along. I don't think we're going to really try and push him for an attack. I would hope not anyway. It wouldn't be smart to keep trying to push him, because he has got a lot of pace, especially amongst some of those guys in front, so maybe just let him go and let him do his thing. So we come through now, again no breakthrough there, got that pretty much spot on there. Sly and Doggers didn't get a great exit, so we managed to drop them. Actually going up on Fraser again, a bit more pace on him going into turn one. Are we going to get this move done? Fraser nipping in there, done really well, get his braking spot on. Well defended there by Fraser. I think I backed out to make sure I didn't clout into him on the apex. Running a little wide there, but not enough that it hurts me. Got a Sly right up the back of me here, and a pack right in front of us as well. So quite a busy road at the moment. A lot of activity going on. I'm just coming down now towards Banky Boy. Got myself on the outside of this pack. Probably not the best place to be, but nowhere else I can really go. Just see if I can get a good expert speed and perhaps get me on the cutback. But I kind of had to back out of it there. Didn't want to come into J-Lad, and doors come off there. Fortunate he was a ghosted, or else that could have been a lot worse. But yeah, I wanted to try and, because I was on the outside there, I wanted to get sort of the cutback speed and get a lot of exit speed to, let them go through the turn first, but ultimately I'll come out with more exit speed and take them on the proceeding straight. But I wanted to do that, and then a J-Lad was in the apex, and obviously if I had done that I would have just gone straight through him and it would have been disgusting. So I couldn't do that, so I had to pull out of it, and meaning that I had to sort of sit behind everyone. Now I was stuck up behind Draco Fury, so I'm looking up on the inside. Didn't quite get that done. So not doing well with the overtakes here. A few I've had to pull out of. Seeing me still sort of sit towards the back end of the positions of the race, sitting in 9th at the moment. Coming into turn one again. Pack of 3 in front of me still. And you notice Sly and Fraser have already got themselves through the pack a little bit. Don't want to be languishing too far behind, but don't want to be forcing the issue too much as well. As we're now just on the outside of Draco. Looks like we've got pace on him, so we managed to nip in front of him. J-Lad just in front of us as well, and Draco just sitting up behind us. Got a little bit of pace on J-Lad, but going to sit on his slipstream. Then maybe looks like we're moving to the outside. Didn't want to go on the inside of him with him taking centre track, would have squeezed us really far into the inside. So again, see if we can get that exit speed. Make the cut back on Jay, and unfortunately we make a little bit of contact to the back there. Not anything bad in the sense of hurting anybody, and please that didn't knock Jay wide or anything like that, but obviously had an impact on us and our exit speed and afforded Draco the opportunity to go back up, so Still struggling to kind of make my initial moves through this pack outside of the slips that people have had and just sort of moving up through that. So let's see if we can make something happen, find an opportunity. So we're now coming towards the end of lap 3, and well, although obviously result-wise the first race was a lot more successful, this one's still a lot of fun. As we come around now, and a little bit of trading paint there between myself and Draco, not much room afforded by myself, need to be a bit more aware. Maybe we could have squeezed over a little bit to the left and let him come back on. In front of him nonetheless, in 8th position. J-Lad just in front of us. And then in front of him, Sly, who's kind of, when we look at the standings when we saw it at the start, it's probably my main rival when I was looking at it from the end of this race. We've still got Fraser, who's up in 2nd place himself, and he wasn't too far off as well, so interesting is again we're behind J-Lad here, and again we find ourselves on the outside. Maybe should have went for the inside this time, considering how unsuccessful we've been on the outside the parking returns. Actually got a little bit of pace on him. Can we get it right this time with the cutback? And I don't think we get that quite right. I think I went in too no, I think I cut too much of the apex and it kind of had an impact. So letting him go up now, and again we're just slipping him behind, waiting for our opportunity. Noticing J-Lad's really good at the old defensive driver, normally quite a hard person to get past. So got to wait for the right opportunity, and maybe I've noticed myself in this race trying to force it a little bit too much, trying to get past people a little bit too soon, rather than waiting for the right time. Actually having a go now, up on the inside, Jay. And looks like we've completely messed that up, run completely wide there, saved a little bit by the wall, whilst we probably would have had a spin out. Come out back behind Jay with a lot of pace loss actually, and you can see Draco now coming up behind us, probably might even be able to get past us before the turn yet, but he's up on that inside, so we're going to have to drop back now. So really bad from us there, went up the inside of Jay, completely misjudged it for some reason, thought I'd be able to lift and coast when realistically I probably should have applied a little bit of brake going up on the inside. And that's what happened, although Draco not getting a great exit out of turn 2, so able to just go around him there through turn 3 and get up in front of him, up towards Banky Boy. So managed to climb back up to 8, but you can see now we've got that 3-second gap between us and Jay in front, so a lot of ground to make up there. So we're seeing a lot of this race for a highlights video. We've kind of been with the race the entire time. We will have a few bits that we chop out here and there, but there's a lot going on. Still got Jake up behind us, so certainly not out of this yet. Jay come off the pace there. You can see that time whittling down in front, holding it in 3rd, like I said before. Get ourselves up here now within a 1.5 of Jay. Must have had a really bad exit out of Banky Boy. It's just afforded us a bit of a chance to get back up with him, perhaps make our moves and see if we can get ourselves, you know, in that top 5 or so slots, which kind of protects ourselves, and should see us still holding the top spot of the series. As we come down now, final turn of lap 5, hit this one much better than last time, no running wide or anything like that. Sat up behind J-Lad, grinding off a bit more time, now within that half-second range. Once we're within a couple of attempts, that's overtaking range, so we're not far away from it. Getting a better line through there, and could have went up the inside there, but you can see I kind of purposely sat off a little bit and actually come through here, going up on the inside. Oh, making a bit of contact there. Actually going to move off and actually give that position back. I don't feel like that was clean enough for me to be able to claim that, so give that position back, Rob. Right thing to do, and that's what I've done. So still got to make our move, and obviously that's had an impact on our pace, coming off a little bit there. I've got Diva, got Draco just behind us, so busy pack behind. Got to look out for that hit as we come across. I think a little bit of contact there through the apex, nothing too serious though. Didn't get a great amount of exit speed. Got Draco on our outside, Diva coming off the inside, so a lot of movement happening here. Diva getting in front, And now we're coming through. Again, we're still with this race. A lot, as you can tell, a lot of action happening. A lot of movement around and to and fro-ing, but not being very successful, I have to admit, from my point of view, for this race. I have had a lot of fun racing though, as we actually make it up on the inside of Diva there. Got to make sure we get this right this time on the inside of this one. Didn't apply a brake again this time, but must have lifted off and coasted a lot earlier. Actually had a bit of contact there from Draco as I tried to hold it in the track, and he's kind of obviously just flinging himself through. And 3 abreast here with Jay just in front of us. Me with the sort of lose a bit of pace. Diva unfortunately missing his braking in there. Draco catching a little bit of the grass. Myself going up again. Getting that speed right on that exit. Giving me the chance just to get nip in front of Draco again and perhaps have another go at J-Lad. Coming up to Banky Boy now. With Draco still just up in that slip. Is he going to try and make the move? Not sure. He's not slipped on the inside or anything. Looks like he's going slightly on the outside, if anything. Trying to get that exit speed to come through now, and actually completely misjudged that. Caught the gravel and we've run off wide there. That's really, really bad, quite honestly. Obviously with that Draco following so closely, just didn't have my concentration right and misjudged that corner, and now can see ourselves back in 9th position. So that's after a lot of like hard racing and, you know, a few not great choices from myself and just doing a bit of stupid stuff. I think I got myself really frustrated, not with anyone else or anyone in particular on the track, just at myself, or not be able to work myself through. And I think I got a bit of red mist and my concentration just went by this point of the race. I'm going to skip forward now for the first time to lap 10. Actually have managed to ground down a bit of time as Diva runs himself wide, as I do myself, but just not as bad as Diva. And looks like we're at least able to pip up to 8th position. Sly looks like he's having a bit of a bad race as well. Actually found himself back in 6th, so not doom and gloom when it comes to the championship. If with 3 laps left, we've got a 4-second gap between us and Draco up front, and a bit of an arse to grind that down, but at least you try and put in the best laps we can. They're actually holding the fastest lap time, as you can see there, 8th lap, putting a 37.3. And actually repeated that on lap 9 as well. So certainly found that pace since we've had our slip in lap 7, but and Draco actually had enough there, finds himself ghosted. Don't know if he's pausing or something like that, but moves ourselves back up to 7th now with Sly 5 seconds in front. Gives us a chance to try and move back a little bit, get ourselves back into the race. Again, unrealistic that we're going to grind that back on Sly, but we've seen the mistakes can happen and can capitalise on them. As we come down now to what is the last turn of lap 10. Let's see if we can hit this right. Caught the grass. Oh dear. Yeah, that turn didn't go too well. Lost the back end and was trying to keep the car under control. I accidentally put myself into the pits, so didn't need the pit for whilst I was here. Screw it, I'll change tyres, can't do any more harm. And find ourselves now back in 9th place. So really stupid mistake there. That was really dumb. But I think this is just kind of how this race was going, and I think, like I said, I broke my concentration completely just by getting frustrated that I just couldn't get myself through that pack and get out in front. So certainly a lot to learn from that race. Looks like going to be finishing off in 9th place, so not a good result. We still get the fastest lap time by the looks of it, as Draco does some showmanship over the line. But yeah, 9th place finish, not a great race. Certainly if you compare it to the first one, and certainly puts the overall championship in a bit more interesting. But let's see what that does to the overall standings there. So we still just hold on to first place with Fraser now 1 point behind us. So getting that fastest lap on the very last race has made a difference. Actually holds our first position, with Sly only 2 points behind him. Then we've got Barney 5 points behind him, so actually really tight in that top, and need to put in a good round when it comes to next week, when we're at Goodwood next week, with increased tyre wear and fuel. So we'll need a pit, even though I had a pit this week. We'll actually need one coming around to next week, so it'll be an interesting race from that point of view. And obviously, as I said at the start, we'll be moving over to grid starts as well, so that reverse grid race is probably, if we do well in the first race, you know, is certainly going to be a lot less ground to cover and a lot less ground to make up, but certainly could be a lot more messier in terms of contact and humpy bumpy, if you will. But that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bit of a poor performance in race 2, but you got to take the thick with the thin, and I enjoyed obviously having the win. And ultimately, though, I didn't really learn much from having that win. I learned a lot more from that second race, which is try and just keep calm, keep emotions under control, and makes more sensible choices, or else you'll find yourself just constantly fighting for an entire race until you inevitably slip off and fly into the pits when you don't intend to. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been me, you've been you. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And if you're interested in taking part in ART team races, don't forget to join the Discord, which is linked in the description to know. Loads of races with a mixture of skills and paces out there, so I'm sure there's something for anyone who's into GT Sport. And yeah, I'll be back with a Mazda video next week, and a Beatles one in the next day or two, so keep your eye out for that, and I'll catch you guys really soon. Okay, cheers, bye.